Okay, guys. Do you know what's complicated? Relationships.
I was going to say Avril Lavigne's song, but okay.
That is also complicated, yes.
Thank you.
So we have obviously played the game. We have seen what it takes to work efficiently as a couple. So in our pairs from playing the game, we're going to do the newlywed game.
Right, okay.
Now, do you all know how that works?
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the newlywed game is pretty much, it's an American TV show, and the way it works is you work as your couple and you'd be like, who out of the two of you would be the best kisser and stuff like that.
Oh, that kind of thing? Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you both
So-
answer, and you have to have the same answer.
All right.
Yeah. So obviously, normally what they would do is they would write the answers down on a card and flip it at
Yep,
the same
yep.
time. We can't do that. So we'll just kind of take the honesty system. So for example, I'll ask, say, Nick.
Well, you could just kind of count us down, and we could both say it.
Okay, that'll do
I
it.
think we'll be honest with it anyway. We're not going to be
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
shit.
No, my favorite color totally.
Esports here.
My favorite color totally is mustard. Yeah. Okay, so in our pairs, so Nick, you shall be with IY, and myself and Alex. will
Please,
be
we
the
are
ha-
Mr.
the
and
hairiest-
Mrs. Davis.
What?
Well, where are the proud feet?
also known as the hairiest couple ever known by mankind. Okay, so we'll start off. Nick's going to be the Nick has the questions, and I have the
a list of
questions. So
questions.
we'll be the question masters against another team. So Nick and IY. Let's see. Out of the two of you, who is the tidiest? So 3, 2, 1.
IY.
Well, what if you were even to say yourself? You have to say your name? Am I speaking to the third
I
person?
would say your name, yeah.
Oh, okay.
You could say me. It's like I'm going to be able to hear that anyway. So
But yeah, I would hope it would be me.
Oh, it's definitely you.
I would hope.
Hans can probably attest.
yeah, I was about to say, as witness, it's IY.
Bam. We're smashing it. Great relationship.
Yep.
Yeah. Nick, do you want
All
to go
right,
for
let's just scroll for this list and stop. Okay. Oh, Hans said I can't ask that one. God damn it.
No, you know what? Go ahead and ask it.
All right. Hans and Alex, what is your spouse's favorite color?
Okay.
I see where this might have gone wrong.
We can't answer this one at the same time, I suppose. So I will say, I think Alex's favorite color is black.
Well, you're wrong.
Is it
So
pink?
It's pink, yeah.
It's the
See,
color of his hoodie, man. Come on.
is
like-
it though?
Like,
Like I'm just throwing it out there. Is it?
yeah, I'm just such a slut. I know everyone's.
Yep.
Is yours green?
No, that's next.
No,
Oh.
Hans is
Mine
red,
is-
right?
mine is red. Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
I
Fucking-
didn't think you were such a basic bitch, Hans. That's all.
Fair.
Okay. So this one you'll be able to answer at the same time. How does your partner like their eggs?
Oh. Okay.
Wait, so only one of us needs to answer. Do we both need to answer
Well,
this?
no, yeah, both answer the for
Okay.
what the other one.
So
Same way
the
that
other
you-
person likes it.
IY, you can go first.
Okay, I think Nick is a fried boy.
Correct.
Yeah, he is.
I think IY's a scrambled boy.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's literally what. Yeah, I was. Because that's what I always grew up with. Was that I thought Nick was gonna be like, oh, I was pretentious. He would be poached.
No one likes poached eggs.
Yeah.
No one actively goes out of their way to ask for a poached egg.
Oh, poached egg are for people who are on diets. That's what that's.
What? What? It's still an egg, man.
No, but it's because it's not
I
fried.
mean, you
and
can dry
it's not
fry an
shouldn't have-
egg.
And you could dry fry an egg, and it's actually not that bad.
Yeah, I like them scrambled, but you guys won't like the way I cook scrambled eggs. The way I
It's
was
like,
taught.
is it like almost like runny? Probably.
No. Well, yeah, it's that's it. But because traditionally, people would scramble it in a bowl or something, and then pour it out. I just crack the egg in and then mix it while it's in there.
Oh, I
in the
would do that
pan,
too.
yeah.
I would do that too.
If I'm making like a lot of like, say if I'm like, it depends how lazy I'm feeling, to be honest. Like if I'm really lazy, I'm gonna do it in the fucking microwave. I'm not gonna even lie.
Like the only difference between me making an omelet and like scrambled eggs is that like I'm not like moving the eggs with an omelet like in the pan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else we get here. All right, Hans and Alex, this is a question you can answer at the same time.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Who has the worst handwriting?
All right. Do you want to count?
I'll
us down?
count just down. 3, 2, 1.
Hans.
Alex.
Okay.
Bitch, my handwriting is immaculate. All right, I will fight you on this.
Yeah. No. You're
I have
right.
had calligraphers tell me my handwriting is nice.
Yeah. No. My handwriting is actually trash.
I'm not even saying his is bad. Mine is just
No.
that
No.
bad.
No. Hans. Mine's bad. Mine is real bad. Sometimes I can't even read it.
Name your spouse's favorite restaurant. A fast food franchise will also be okay.
All right, I know.
Oh, fast food? Okay.
I know. I don't know necessarily the name of it, but I think if I describe it, I will know.
Okay, hit me up.
That one Andy keeps talking about and orders from. That chicken
Oh,
place.
I'd fry?
Yeah.
I'd fry? Oh. Like, he talks about it a lot, but it's probably not my favorite.
Ah, damn it.
It's probably not. Also, today I ordered a KFC, guys. I feel really, I feel really shit. So I do. Definitely not my favorite either.
What is Nick's favorite then, IY?
Okay, I know he thinks Nando's is mediocre.
What is my favorite restaurant?
Yeah.
Nick, we literally talked about this the other day.
Did
And,
we?
Maybe not restaurant, but takeaway, yeah, 100%.
Is it like a... Is it like a Boojum or something?
I would probably say Boojum. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you had to give me any choice to take away, it would 100% be Boojum.
Because for me, I feel like you guys are like the type who like would love like a big like Mexican, big old burrito.
Fiesta.
Yeah. And like Boojum's kind of the only one I can think of like in Belfast.
The thing is, Nick likes a burrito, but his is a burrito bowl, which is not actually a burrito.
That's true. It's naked.
Yeah.
Is that what we call it?
It's a
slutty
whore.
burrito.
It's a whore burrito.
All right.
Oh, okay. All right, guys. Hans and Alex, if your spouse was a Disney character, who
Oh,
would they
shit.
be?
I don't even know the answer to that. If you're asking me, who
for
I would
yourself.
be.
If you were to ask me.
I know my answer for myself. I think okay. I don't know if this is going to be right, but I think I have an answer for Alex.
I'm just going to say a random character.
Okay.
The parrot from Aladdin.
Hans, are you Iago?
I am not Iago. No.
Are you the Beast?
No.
Oh,
Actually,
Are you
know what I
Gaston?
No, do you want to know what my answer is?
What?
Hans from Frozen, because I would fucking not fuck that shit up and I'd kill that bitch and that franchise never existed. I think Alex is Baloo from Jungle Book.
Alex, are you Baloo
mean-
from Jungle Book?
I might as well be. I don't have an answer, so.
Yes, winner by proxy. Okay, this is an easy one, kind of. Nick and IY, what is your spouse's favorite movie?
what?
Oh no! Cancel! I just saw the perfect one.
Okay.
What?
Nick and IY, who is the better cook?
Ooh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're about to say this at the same time, aren't we?
Yep.
Okay.
So 3, 2, 1.
IY.
Me. Like, come on.
I don't think it's a competition. I'm a decent cook, but IY knows more about cooking and more techniques of cooking. And puts way more effort in than I will ever put in.
I thought Nick's ego was going to get the better of it. I'm like, it's me. What the fuck do you mean? Put Chipotle sauce in everything.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I know I'm not a good cook.
Well, this won't be our third, so make us the last one, sure.
Okay. All right, guys. Hans and Alex, one you can answer at the same time.
Okay.
Who would win in an eating contest?
An eating contest?
What are we eating though?
It doesn't all say. Just do.
Oh.
Do you want to pick a random eating contest, and that can be what they're deciding to narrow it down?
What do they both like equally?
Can't have cheese on it.
Or a can.
Because yes,
100 chicken nuggets.
100 chicken nuggets.
How many of that 100 can you eat?
The Nug Tug Challenge.
Is that what it's called?
Huh.
Yeah.
That's a
100 chicken
terrible
nuggets in
name.
100 minutes. All right. 3, 2, 1.
Hans.
Me.
Ah, damn.
Yeah. Look, I'm a beefy boy. I have no qualms with that. I love a good nug as well, and I love a good tug. So I meet all the requirements.
Fair.
If you like to see the canon answer for this,
I think if
No,
we
we're not
ever
doing
do
that.
like
We're
an
not
extra
doing
life or like charity live stream and we have a face cam,
100% no.
Hans and I should try and do the Nug Tug Challenge.
Oh, yeah, you too, yeah. Yeah, I'm not getting involved.
I like my bottles.
Alex will look on in disgust, and that's the most effort he's putting in.
Alex can commentate on it like he's an esports commentator. Oh, he's dunking the nug.
Yeah, I think I would demolish the Nug Tug Challenge.
Do you really think you could eat 100 nuggets in 100 minutes?
As long as there is a dipping sauce.
I don't think I could eat 100 nuggets in 100 minutes.
It's over an hour.
That's a lot
feel
of
like
nuggies.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm sure once I saw what the size of what 100 nuggets looks like, I'd probably change my mind. But in theory, I reckon I could do it.
It's for lunch tomorrow. We will order 100 nuggets.
You're paying for that.
Just so you can see what 100 nuggets looks like.
Not even eat them, you'll throw them out afterwards.
No, we'll split them. So we'll do half a nug tug.
training.
Yeah.
Two tugs just Nick. 2 tugs does not make a full tug. I'm just saying.
2 half tugs.
Well, we have learned that Nick and I are the better couple.
Yeah.
But who
Well,
won in
that-
chess?
A health. Who did?
Was that the game you were referring
was
to?
that the game you
Yeah,
were talking
it was,
about?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I won in chess.
Yeah, I won that.
Oh, way to go! Why play into the stereotype?
Is that
Be
a
better.
stereotype?
Yeah, that was 100% a stereotype.
That Asians are good at chess?
Be better, IY. All right. God, that's so racist of
Maybe
you.
if Nick wasn't so trash at all the minigames.
Yeah, I kind of smoked me over all the minigames. Who won in chess between you two?
Me.
Alex.
Hans ran out of time by like 40 seconds.
I was checked and I was like panicking. I was like, I don't know what to do. And I realized, oh, I'm being timed. Right, yeah.
God damn it, Hans.
I'd never played chess with a timer before. It's really, really terrible. It really makes me panic. I'm like under pressure and I'm like,
That's kind of the whole point
shit.
of having a
I
timer, is so
know,
you can't just sit there and think of every possible move.
But it's fucking horrifying. I am not a smart person.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to the Not So Super Bash Bros presents Game Club for April 2021. Yes, Game Club is back the monthly video podcast review thing, where we take turns picking games, go play them for the month, come back and discuss them for your listening pleasure. This month, I picked It Takes Two from Hazelight Games, the co-op puzzle platformer, and as ever, I am your host, It Takes Two, Nick Davis, joined by just the two of us, Hans Davis.
What about you?
Two hearts of beating as one, Alex Proudfoot.
Hello.
And one is the loneliest number, IY Chung.
I'm divorcing this channel.
Who gets me in the divorce?
I like this idea that it is IY married to the channel. And like, what the fuck does that make the rest of us? that's pondering that is weird. Yes, It Takes Two. Originally released in March 2020 on PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PS4, and PS5. Hi, is everyone?
Did you say 2020?
No, it's a 2021.
Yeah.
2021. Nick, cut that in.
Alex got distraught there because he was like, shit, game of the year,
Yeah,
lost the game, fuck.
I realized yesterday that I have now played 5 games released in 2021. So
How many of them made the shortlist?
5. I have finished 5 games, and then I've played 2 more that I've not finished and have not ranked yet.
I've played 5 games from this year as well.
Fuck off, I don't believe you.
Following my usual standard, I don't think I've played that many.
Wait, what 5 have you played, IY? It Takes
Loop
Two,
Hero?
Loop Hero, Dandy Ace.
Elements TD.
Hell
Oh,
yeah.
It's technically out.
I suppose that, technically came out this year.
I've written Eternal Return because it's supposed to be out,
it's
technically
coming
out
End of the
end
year.
of this
Yeah.
year.
early access,
Yeah, but yeah, it's technically.
I have
Fair enough.
Outriders on my list.
Yeah,
technically.
it's just all like 1 hour you played of it.
Yep.
Man, if Outriders ends up on your final game of the year list, it will make me so happy.
I think I've only played 2.
What?
My god, IOI is actually
No, you
beating me on
played 3,
Game of-
Hans, at least.
Have I played 3?
Yeah. You played It Takes
What are
Two,
they?
The Medium, and Oddworld.
I'm not a single. Well, actually, no, 82 is probably on the short list. But the other 2 definitely aren't.
You
If I play
yeah,
6 games this
You
year,
technically haven't played Hitman 3 yet.
I know I
Oh.
technically haven't.
Wait, haven't you?
No.
Because I've been playing through it before I go straight into the 3rd.
He hasn't actually gotten to the Hitman 3 levels yet.
I'm on Hitman 2 at the minute.
Okay.
God, Hitman 3 is so fucking good.
But we're not here to talk about Hitman, Nick.
We are not
No.
a good segue, IY. That's why we're the best couple.
I mean,
What?
that chemistry between
Yeah.
you two.
We finish each other's sentences. So, as ever, I've split this into 3 categories.
What are those categories? I finish the sentence.
Yeah, I has to finish this category.
Yeah,
go on, yeah.
what is gameplay?
Yeah. Is this in Jeopardy? Well, yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Survey says.
Do you want to ask the audience?
Is the other one characters and story?
Yep.
All right. The third one's always fucking out there.
The wild card.
Why Nick isn't in a relationship?
Oh. How long we got?
Say an hour-long podcast is not long enough to go down that.
Yes, gameplay. IY was correct in the first one. He was
Well,
technically incorrect because it's story and characters, not characters and story.
God's sake.
Goddamn.
And finally, where do we want to see Hazelight go from here?
Oh, it's pretty close, guys.
Missed it by a hair's width. Before we kick into the categories, I have to ask, in our pairs, obviously, how far did we get in It Takes Two? Because IY and I finished it in a svelte 10 hours.
Alex, sweetie, would you like to answer for the couple?
No thanks, Ange. You go ahead.
Oh, that's very considerate. Thank you. Me,
We finished it in 10.
Oh, me and you're gonna have words when we get home.
So, and, can I confirm who played as who on each side? I believe it was from it was me and you as May, Hans. Yes, we both played them.
Yes.
And then IY and Alex, you both played Cody.
Yep.
Worst father. 2021. But
We'll get to
Dude,
that.
this is a dude. Like,
Spoilers.
just worst.
So the gameplay, at its core, It Takes Two is definitely much more of a solid platforming base compared to something like where A Way Out, their previous game, kind of jumped between genres as you went through the game. Like you had some kind of bog standard puzzle solving elements as you walked around in like a 3D space. You had driving sections, and you had like the third person shooter bit it kind of ended with. Opposite of that, yeah, It Takes Two at its core, I think, definitely goes back to being a platformer with additional mechanics kind of layered on top of that, and then leans into other genres just for like maybe like one-off set pieces. And I do think it actually really helps the game in general, because I think It Takes Two is probably one of the best like non-Mario 3D platformers I think I've played in a long, long time. Like I just think all the movement feels really good and super snappy, and I never felt like I didn't have like all the control of the character I absolutely needed. So I think from just a pure gameplay standpoint, if you were to compare it to his like previous game, I think this one comes out like streets ahead, personally.
Yeah, I think like it's not only does the movement feel tight and like well controlled, and like, you know, you do need that precision for some of the kind of platforming puzzle bits, but like it looks really nice too. Like whenever you're sprinting, the way that they like May kind of weirdly like flings her arms in the front whenever you're sprinting, and like Cody Naruto runs like, but not as cool. Well, as Naruto run really cool.
Yes.
But you get what I mean. But you get what I mean. Like the kind of over the top animations as well. On top of that, just make all the movement in that just seems awesome. It's like the overly theatric movements all tie in to kind of the look and feel of the game. The platform is super, super solid, and I love that. Yeah.
I think the only thing I didn't like was, I think Nick brought it up while we were playing, actually, is it's such a minor thing, but it made such like a big difference, because I think what we're just used to normally, which is that if you sprint and then jump, your sprint is cancelled.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what you find, there
yeah.
are moments whenever you just need to book it, and you need to jump over an obstacle, and then you're just like jogging.
I will say they kind of like stop that being a lot of an issue. Like a lot of the time it's just nice for kind of just general movement, but like the times where like, oh, it's like say those chase sequences, or like there's an avalanche happening, you need to speed away or sprint away. Typically you're auto sprinting in that bit anyway, so like jumping doesn't break your kind of movement. It's just the like going from like almost like just traversal from like around areas, and like, oh, I'm sprinting and then I jump. Yeah, that's annoying, but it never felt like I was being hindered, because the game kind of stops that being a hindrance later on, like during the sections where you have to sprint.
Yeah. During the sections where they count almost.
Yeah, because you're always sprinting in those sections anyway.
I did have this. I think this could just be me, but I definitely had trouble with depth perception once or twice.
Yeah.
I did, yeah. As well.
And I don't know. It's like, I think it was sometimes with the lasers
Your
and
old
stuff.
man
and some-
eyes, I was fine.
Maybe. Yeah, no,
Yeah, it could
like,
be.
yeah, I lost that volleyball game because of depth
Yeah, oh
perception.
god, yeah, that volleyball
I
game was
could not for the life of me.
horrendous.
It was.
I
Yeah,
think
and,
the
like,
game must have do as well, though, because like in that volleyball game, it actually gives you that circle in the middle of the court, or of your side of the court, to let you know where the ball's going to go when it's launched. So I mean, I wonder if like they know, maybe like depth perception is not the strongest in this game.
Like, I feel like, dude, like, I think that's an issue a lot of 3D platformers kind of have, though. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
think it's unique to this game. Like, there's been issues. 3D, that's always been something that 3D platformers have kind of always struggled with, and I've kind of always failed to find the most elegant solution, other than like, oh, your shadow is always directly beneath you, so you kind of know where you're landing and things like that.
But it was never like a massive
Oh, no,
issue,
no.
because at the end of the day, if you die or fall off a pad or whatever, you are spawn pretty much instantaneously.
Yeah.
And even if it's a boss fight, you mash the Y button and that's it.
Hmm.
You know, so it's never a massive deal, even if the depth perception did kind of throw me a bit.
So the other side, probably the best way of describing the game is like it is almost a puzzle platformer. So we talked about the platforming side of it. What do you guys think of the like puzzle elements, especially when they kind of marry the two? Get it, marry? Like marry those two genres, or like say like the one that sticks in my mind is like one of the earlier set pieces where, as May, like I was jumping from like platform to platform, but IY as Cody was controlling like what platforms were coming out of the wall, and then like with the nails he had. And like I think they do a really good job of incorporating both in times like that. They definitely do a really good job of incorporating both players into the puzzle solving nature of it, and almost being like, all right, this time May is playing the platformer while Cody's playing the puzzle game, and like almost splitting the genre between the two people, but then adding the collaboration side of it where you're working together to figure out how do I get from point A to point B with both people.
I think overall, like that co-op puzzle solving and platforming is fucking unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like the amount of thought they've probably had to put into like, right, we have like, because a lot of these things are like traditional puzzle mechanics, but they've had to sit there and like reinvent them to incorporate two players. Like the one that pops into my head is the rail one where one person is grinding the rails and the other one has to press the corresponding animal print.
Buttons. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that is like a lot of platformers have rail sections where you're dodging between, you know, two different rails because of oncoming traffic or something like that. So they've had to be like, right, how can we literally incorporate this so that both players are actively doing this at the same time but not doing the exact same thing? And they've had to do that for so many different puzzle solvings in this that they are literally having to think outside the box, and it's so amazing. Like it really is. It's so cool, and it's on a different level to what they've done previously. I feel like in their two previous games because of the nature of the game. Yeah, I could sit here and gush for hours over it. It's dope.
I don't know. I actually am not as impressed, I think, as Hans is. Because, so I think the examples you guys just gave are really good. Like the nail one with like the wall pieces that come in and out, and the farm animal thing. I think those two are really good because there's a sense of urgency in both of those. Because if Nick jumps and I don't have the wall up, he just falls to his death, and it's a good old time, right? But like it's like, but like there is this sense of shit. I need to do this. And same with the grinding one, right? Because if you don't do it, then you die. But in a lot of them, it's a lot, in my opinion, of just like, I can just stand there, wait for Nick to do the thing, then I do my thing. And it doesn't feel very... It's not like, simultaneous, right? So, for instance, one example of this, which was a bit of a disappointment, which was at the end of the game, was, the lights. Where one character holds the light and the other character walks. Like... Because you take so little damage, I could literally walk to the end of the line, and Nick could, like, catch up to me later. There was no sense of, like, oh shit, I need him to do this now, or else that's it. Like, I just felt like there was a lot of just, it's your turn, now it's my turn, and, like, it's, like, I didn't actually enjoy that as much. And I think, personally, I felt like, the gameplay-wise, it was very... hit and miss, personally. So, for instance, I thought the nail stuff was really cool, but I didn't think the second level was very good. The goo
wasp stuff,
and the fire, like the third person shooter one,
yeah,
that one. And what was our powers in the snow one? That was the magnet one.
Yeah,
that one was okay. That one was okay. But yeah, I think whenever it does well, it does really well, the game, but I think some other times it's fine. Like, definitely not bad. Definitely not bad. But like,
it's interesting because, like, you say the third person shooter one, I guess I do agree it's probably the weakest mechanic that they kind of layer on top of the platforming. But I also think it's interesting because I think the big issue with that is the combat. They kind of force you into it with it. Because I think when they just use that power for like the puzzle solving, like, oh, you have to kind of control the weight of things at different times and like create these.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like that stuff is cool. If then they throw in a lot of combat encounters into that bit, which are not enjoyable, I think that's what kind of makes that power not great.
It's also the same in the garden. There's like
yeah,
it's
the
a
safe
lot
and
of
water
combat.
stuff.
And I think, that's probably where the game almost drags. And I think it's probably the only two times I think the mechanics overstay their welcome is when in, that third-person shooter bit and the garden bit. But yeah, other than that, like, I think all the power, like, all the mechanics they actually layer on top, I think are all kind of very well realized, and they never, not that they never, but they definitely get everything they need out of them before they kind of start repeating the mechanic too often.
I think it's a good idea of like, although them like those each mechanic has probably its own bad bit, but I think like you said, for like the encounters of say the like you're fighting the wasps and stuff. Whenever it's just like a wave battle, that's annoying. But I actually really enjoyed the boss fight of that, like with that, with the idea of like say Alex was having to shoot the goo onto the queen. Don't take that out of context. I was having to go behind. I'm just digging myself into a bigger hole. But so like, but like I love that idea and like and how you would like break bits off of the queen. So like I think like some of them, I think some of the mechanics do have their downsides and they're not so great bits. But I think there's at least one point where every mechanic I do think does have its time to shine.
Like, I actually think the best okay, maybe not I think the most consistent, let's call it, like, world is maybe the space one. Because it's kind of the one where they can kind of do whatever they want. Because it's kind of set, in something which we don't experience ourselves, right? And I think as much as I know Nick loves playing Diablo, in the castle
so
level.
I wouldn't even say that the Diablo one is like, I feel like I would lump the Diablo stuff in with like say the flying sections and like the random fighting games happening. They're like just kind of these set pieces that happen. Whereas like stuff like the space with like the magnetic boots and the size changing would be like the actual like mechanic that they layer on top.
Yeah, and I feel like that one's like the best realized one. I don't know why. I think I really liked how my character, because I played as Cody, I quite liked the way that character interacted with the world so much more than like, I have a plant on my head. I can grab stuff like that, but like shrinking down to get into spaces that you would otherwise not see, right, as normal. And then obviously it gets a different perspective.
Seesaw, stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think like that's like really cool. Like overall, it's really good. It's just I just think it's not very consistent because it does so many different things.
I also felt like while the mechanics were cool in some cases, there were places where they just dragged on.
Isn't that just all the combat bits?
Yeah, like the combat didn't help, but like the garden felt like it went on for a long time.
Because of all the combat.
Not including the combat. Like it just felt like, what else went on for a long time?
I feel like as well, like there was the bit at the end when you're collecting the setting up for the concert.
It went on for a long time.
Yeah,
I would disagree with that one, but I would kind of agree because just the garden and like the other like the tree bit kind of feel like they drag because they have a very similar aesthetic, and I don't think that helps. Whereas every other area actually feels quite unique in terms of like you're this tiny thing in this area. The tree and the garden come across as very similar, so it does almost like it's not necessarily because it's not at all, but like it almost feels like you're backtracking because you're like oh, I've ended up back at this area for some reason.
I think like for me, there were certain times it just felt like there was stuff in there to padded out the areas that there didn't need to be, like with the bit in the tree and the wasps. Like a certain, like you're going to the hive, and the hive is literally like, okay, so it's over a bit of a canyon, but you're on a cliff and the hive is there, and then about half an hour later you're on catfish ghosts going through this maze, and you're like, it's not even a challenge. You're literally just on this thing, and like the biggest challenge is sometimes it'll turn very slowly, and you'll have to kind of balance yourself, and that's it. And like at that point, I was like, "Wait, what are we doing again?" You know, like that bit to me, like there was no point in that being there.
Also,
it feels
there's a
very
lot
padded.
of slide sections.
I didn't mind
And
those.
like,
Because I feel like, I think I said to Nick, like, you know, for me, like, those kind of sections, like, it's what I think Sonic should be. The sense of speed and, like, urgency. Or do you just mean, like just like wherever you're sliding down kind of thing?
It was just
like on the ice.
I think it was the
the ice
snow level.
button?
Yeah,
Yeah.
where it's just like constant. I think there
Oh,
were
yeah,
like,
okay, yeah. There's a lot of, there's a lot of that.
But I also don't think those are like egregiously bad. Like, whereas like the combat stuff felt like a drag at some point. I never felt like, yes, there was a lot of them, but I never felt like, oh, this is actually becoming annoying to do with the slide bits, because I still actually really found those slide bits actually interesting to do and engage with, just because they looked cool compared to
So,
like the
like-
combat.
So like the catfish stuff didn't bother me. I just, like I said, like there's a couple of the things that they didn't bother me. They just felt unnecessary. But the one bit where I did kind of get really frustrated was actually the concert bit. So Hakeem pops up and is like, okay, you need to go get a mic.
oh, yeah,
and
you got quite annoyed.
Yeah, so it's like you have to go get a mic, lights, and something else. And I was
Speakers.
like, sweet, 3 speakers. I was like, sweet, 3 things, go get them. So you go get them, and you're like, okay, so the concert will happen. It's like, oh, no, now you need to go get a crowd. And I was like, why did you not just make us get the crowd the first time? So then you go away to get the crowd, and then you come back, it's like, oh, now you need a orchestra. And I was like, why the fuck did you not say all this at the start? Because now you've turned what was three things into 5 things, and I'm like, that annoyed me, because I was like, why not lay these things out at the start? And again, it just felt like it was unnecessary.
But
They
that was
could've-
with the character, man. You're feeling how your character felt at that time, you know?
But
No, they
the thing is,
explained it.
at that stage
No,
they were
Cody
like,
seems
yeah,
to
Yeah, Cody's
they
into it. Yeah,
they
yeah,
get
Cody's-
very annoyed. And funny enough, who was Hans playing?
but I was just kind of like rule of 3 in a game. Like rule of 3 is kind of just the basic thing. I was like, you could have had to be, you know, okay, get the equipment, and then get the crowd, and then get the orchestra. And if you lay that out from the start, I'm like, yeah, okay, rule of 3. And you haven't hidden this stuff. You haven't hidden this nasty surprise for when I come back 2 more times.
All right, calling it a
That's-
nasty surprise maybe is a bit. It's not like you were suddenly like, oh, this is what the fuck.
But no, I like it. Really, I actually quite annoyed. Like I was quite frustrated. I was like, right, this is just unnecessary. That's just
This seems like a very weird thing to get frustrated by.
Yeah, so I have a different issue with the last level in that I thought it was pretty dull as Cody, because his ability is you threw a
Captain
symbol.
America?
Yeah, like that's not very interesting.
So I was hoping for some, like, Nick shoots sound at me and I deflect it
Yeah.
into something. That's what I thought would be. Not like I'm actually a glorified like pair of scissors to cut stuff. Like, yeah, no, it's.
you had your time to shine in the garden level. All right, let
But
us
even
have our
that
time to
was
shine.
dull.
Singing.
Hey, wait a minute! You got to play Devil May Cry in the garden level. What do we get to do? We fucking hold this guy's shield down.
You got to play Plants vs.
Oh, we
Zombies.
did. Yeah, to be fair,
Garden
that was
warfare.
pretty. That was tight. That was pretty good. That's pretty all right.
You know what? You're right. I was wrong about that section.
You know what? After playing Element 3D this week, like playing Plants vs Zombies is pretty great. That was pretty great. Actually, so I think, so you were kind of annoyed by this like list of things you had to do, right?
Yeah.
They kept getting bigger. So I actually felt the exact same way this section before. So do you know how it's like he rips up the letter?
No,
And you
Yes,
gotta find
yes.
all the pieces of the letter. So I think that really ruined this sense of like adventure for me. Because
Yeah.
before that, it's like we're traveling to all these new areas, and we have this overarching goal, but of making our daughter cry. But like,
We'll get to that.
yeah, but like how we get there, and like it's like, oh shit, how are we gonna get there and stuff like that. But then it becomes like,
You're just randomly teleported to the places you need to be.
yeah, and it's like this
Yeah.
weird fetch quest.
But
And then,
I can get why that seems annoying, but I also kind of understand like it would be hard to justify like such a drastic change in scenery like the ice stuff if you don't have some conceits like, oh yeah, they're in their snow globe.
But you say that, but like this is a world where people's monkeys and stuff come there. Like they blur the lines between real, like what is actually happening and what isn't. Like would have been so hard to somehow they end up in the freezer, and that's the snow level.
But then why would it be
you
the
know.
place? But the whole point of it is it's the place they first like went on a holiday together.
But then they could just it could just be in there, or it could be like you say like they brought back this old ice cream and like the whatever tower they go up on is a picture on the tub of ice cream, but they never got around to eating it. And it's just been in the freezer ever since. You know,
Even
like
if
I
they,
feel like you're projecting about my Ben and Jerry's in the freezer here.
don't we will have an argument on the street. Like, I swear to God.
if they had like put in some clues as to where they were going next, because like at the start it was obvious, you know, you had to work your way through the shed, through the garden to get to the house. Once
Yeah.
you got in the house, you have to go into the castle. You know, it's stuff like that. It's very obvious where you're going.
And I think as well on top of that is
But,
like,
like,
whenever,
if
whenever
they-
you introduce that structure as well, like whenever you introduce a structure of there's got to be 4 acts. You know, like instead of being
Yeah.
like this is an adventure that could take us anywhere
Like,
in
yeah,
the house.
like even if they had just removed the idea of you're collecting the letter bits, I think it probably would have come off like a lot better. If it was just Doctor Games like, oh, let's like go through and like here are all the like let's try and remember like all the good times in your relationship and like here are the things in the house that remind you of them. Like, oh, the snow globe and all the stuff like that. I think that would have come across a bit better rather than there are 4 pieces of this letter. You know there's going to be 4 more chapters.
Yeah.
I said to Nick actually, whenever we got to the when I got to the bedroom, I said to Nick, "Oh shit, there's gonna be like a kitchen level. There's gonna be the living room level. Like, we're gonna like see all the because what's really cool about the previous levels is that you're seeing these bog standard places like the shed and the garden stuff like become these like fantastical things. But
Yeah.
whenever you get magically teleported to something else, like some like space,
A
right?
snow globe.
Yeah, right. It's like it kind of ruins like the magic, as it were.
It's so weird because like I think it's outside of this space and the snow globe. All the other places are like about
they
the
are.
place,
Tangent.
like
Yeah,
Yeah, they
about
are
the house,
grounded
because you
in
end up in the
reality of
attic.
house. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
it's,
do you know
it's
what would
so
have been a
weird.
good point of do you know what would have been a really good point of reference for them to use? Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Like if they had used that film as like this is how you can kind of navigate from place to place and stuff like that, you know, without having to be teleported by a magic book, because they make the back garden seem like a wilderness and stuff like that. You know, like that would have been a good point of reference for them to use. I think.
I guess this is. I guess my point here is going to be covering. It kind of like delves into like the next topic, but like, and this is I think what we're talking about now, right? Is that the characters and how they interact with the world. One moment they're very much on board with it, or not on board. Sorry. It always starts off as, "Oh shit, what the fuck is this?" Blah blah. blah.
Oh yeah.
And then the next moment, it's like, of course that was the plant that you took care of and that you didn't water or whatever. And it's like, what? It's like, is which way? Like, is this a realistic thing or is it like magic?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like the squirrels are clearly magic,
Yeah.
right? With their fucking guns.
And they're fucking heli or they're fucking biplane.
Yeah, right. But like the plant is real.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I just find that like really, like I said, I think my issue with the game is consistency and pacing.
Yeah.
Like I think it's really good. It's just there's just like this bit of polish in those things, which I just think is not quite there. But
So
Sorry, just before we go on, because say the look of the levels is fucking amazing.
Yeah. Hans
Like
had
the way-
a massive issue with like random dead spaces. And to be fair, I kind of agree.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you know when you went into like a massive open
Oh,
area
yeah,
and
yeah,
there's
yeah.
like nothing to do.
Oh yeah. No, but like the actual look of the world.
Oh,
is
yeah, the
amazing,
look's
though.
pretty
like,
good.
How like the cuckoo clock like area where like it just looks like this massive clock tower is awesome. Like I love that. But yeah, some of the worlds like the Snow Village and the castle spring to mind of like there's this massive open area and like okay, there's the occasional mini game hidden somewhere, but like there's this massive open area and there's not a lot to do, and it's a bit weird.
Apart from that one tower that we tried, well, you climbed.
Oh, the Tower Tomb.
Oh,
Fuck that shit.
The Hell
Oh,
Tower.
shit.
Hell Tower.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, that was the
Nailed
worst.
it. Fucking nailed that thing.
Oh,
Easy.
we were there for like 15 minutes.
That took me
Easy.
a long time to get up there.
I gave up.
Yeah.
I let Hans take the glory and fire off the fireworks.
And that actually like that. I think that's the perfect point of you go up there and you do that, and at the top all you do is you get an achievement,
Yeah.
but all
The
you do is
achievement? Okay.
fire. All you do is fire fireworks.
But there's a couple of things like that that's just like there's like the bug spa. Like all that's there as far as to be an achievement.
I know, but like it's just I think that
Like
that's what I mean, though,
I don't mind stuff like that because one, it's completely optional, and two, like
It adds to the world.
yeah, it adds
Oh,
the
yeah.
like the Hell Tower maybe not so much, but I suppose you're inside this like clockwork
the spa-
village, so
the
it kind of makes sense. Like it all adds
spa-
to like to the world and the design.
But the likes of the spa doesn't bother me because there's no. You're not spending 15 minutes trying to climb the damn thing. But with the Hell Tower, I
Yeah,
think
but the whole like it is out of the way enough that I would think it is fairly obvious that it is not necessary to do.
But
So,
to me, I think it just summarizes my issue with those areas. It's just like it's a lot of style and not that much substance to it. Just and I'd say like it's I love the look of them. I do like the game looks amazing. I love the design of everything. But it's just those open areas. I'm just kind of like because this is so cool. I just don't really get a point in it.
it feels like you're complaining about seeing it. I feel like that's a contradictory point. Like you're saying, oh,
So
the
what you're
world looks
saying-
great, but I don't want to see it.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I was like, the world looks fantastic. I just don't understand. Like, why have you given me this playground with nothing in it?
I never I really enjoyed running around every single area in that game, even if there was nothing to do. I think just the design and the style of it all was just like it was enough to make not make me be like, oh, why is this here?
Oh,
No,
we,
it just
we
every-
were like
it's-
that a lot. I do remember us going, "What is the point in this area?" to each other
Yeah.
quite a lot.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ah. Some
'Cause,
negative
like,
Nancy's over
we-
here,
yeah,
Nick.
we spent. Every time we got to a new area, we explored it. And
Thoroughly.
we just it got to this stage where we were kind of defeated because we
Yeah.
weren't rewarded for
Yeah, we're like-
exploring the area.
We're just like, guess we'll go back to the main quest then.
Yeah.
So you wanted collectibles? Is that what you wanted?
we were
you
looking for
wanted some nothings, Alex? You wanted to be like,
wanted-
nah,
we
Mike,
wanted-
maybe
something.
if they added nothings to the game, maybe.
To be fair, I actually think this game probably would have worked with a collectible thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mini games are kind of the collectibles.
Yeah, correct.
But I feel like I had I agree with Hanson that yes, I think the design of the world and all the stuff looks so cool. But yeah, because of that, I did not mind when I was just kind of when the game just asked me to go from point A to point B and just take in the environment.
So it wasn't going from point A to point B we had an issue with. It was
No, I know the areas you're talking. You're talking about, say, the Winter Village. You're in
Yeah.
the snow globe, or that village you're in with. I think it's the horse,
Clockwork Town.
the horse derby mini game is there, and then the Hell Tower is beside that. But
Yeah, it's
I
the
just
Clockwork
liked
Town,
taking in
yeah.
the design of those areas because I thought they were very cool. So it didn't really bother me that there was necessarily nothing to do in some corners of it because I thought it was cool looking. I mean, maybe I'm a simple man, but that was enough for me.
Yeah, I guess the question is, what would you have preferred?
a smaller area.
I feel like
But then it ruins the level, right? Then you've ruined the aesthetic which we're
but
praising
does
so
it
much.
though? Because you say it ruins the level. When you go to those areas, you're just Nick said, you're using it to go from A to B. So why not cut down on half the building so that you're only going through the.
But it's a
Like,
sense of
you're
scale,
following the
right,
path.
as well. Because if your character is now tiny,
Yes.
and you are living in this and the whole thing is as a child, right? If I have a shitty cardboard cutout of something, right? The imagination would be oh, this is some sick village, and it's huge and sprawling and it's great.
but
and
they're in a
if
snow
you-
globe.
But a kid's imagination would then populate that village with stuff that you could do because anything's a toy to a kid.
Yeah, but there was things to interact with. You could fill that that piggy bank with coins. You could get killed by
But that piggy bank area isn't massive. That's very contained.
Imagine if Kingdom Hearts 3, with all its massive worlds, didn't have enemies. that's kind of like these are these massive
I
walls
don't
without
want
anything to
enemies
do
in
with
this
them.
game. I don't want any Fuck that.
I've seen how that combat
Reduce
goes.
the amount of enemies, please.
Yeah.
Like it's just like that's what I was. Funnily enough, that's what I was thinking. I was like, this reminds me of like when I'm in Traverse Town in Kingdom Hearts 3, and like the only difference is there's no shops to interact with, there's no side quests to do. You know, okay, yeah, there's the occasional mini game which Kingdom Hearts 3 also had, but like Traverse Town in that game felt so weird and disjointed from the rest of the game, which was brimming with life and stuff to do. And I just got into these areas, and I'm just like, I'll just follow my cuckoo self to the next area then, and I'll turn off this wooden fire with wooden water. That's ruined the game for me, but it definitely
it's just because I'm coming from we're taking very different like outcomes from the same like observations. Like, oh, these areas are really nice, and you're essentially saying, I wish there was less of them.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying I wish there was
But
more to do in
as the
them.
game currently stands, you're saying I wish there was less of these areas because there's nothing to do in them.
Yeah, then yes, that's what I'm saying. Because you can say something looks nice, but like
They could
it
have
doesn't necessarily.
the areas in the same scale, but contain the area that you interact with.
Yeah,
Because that piggy bank area, like I always said, you can put stuff in there. If you think about it, that area is quite small, but there's quite a lot you can interact with. So,
and like also on top of that, the game looking nice is not just contained to those big hub areas. Like the when I think of the cuckoo, I think of when you're actually running across the cuckoo face, and like you get silhouetted out by like the big orange glow from the clock behind you. Like the game overall and the worlds, the way they're designed, not even just the hub areas, it just looks gorgeous.
I know. I feel like we're not going to come to an agreement here. Of just
No.
It just feels like
Agree
I
to
want
disagree.
it just feels like I want to have a very different interpretation of that compared to you, which is like it's fair. Like I kind of get what you're saying, but it never
But you're
felt
wrong.
It
Sorry.
never felt like
Sorry.
a negative to me, whereas you seem to be able to see the negative side of it, where I just don't.
I don't need you to agree with me. I just need you to validate my opinion, like a good couple.
Well,
would.
it's a good thing you played with Alex and I played
Yeah.
with my wife.
it is, yeah. Like,
Is there any last gameplay thoughts before we go on to the next section? All right. So, the story and characters. There's probably two sides to this, like in terms, like there is very much the story and characters, because on one hand, I'm not a fan of the overall story and kind of how it wraps up. But then, yeah, on the flip side, I think the characters are good up to a point. I definitely think compared to A Way Out, I think this game maybe falters a bit more on the story aspects. But I'm interested to get your opinion, because I know I've talked to Hans about this while we were playing it, and obviously I talked to Howie about this while we were playing it. Of just like, Cody and May are objectively
terrible
fucking
people.
worst.
They
Terrible
are
people.
awful. They
But
murder animals. They abuse their child. And
They
they're
have a
just
psychological
generally
abuse, yeah.
awful people.
Yeah.
So, is that true? Like, I personally feel like Cody is horrible, but I don't think May is. I think May is like dealing with Cody, as it were.
May definitely is like, of just like, I want to just not be in this situation anymore. It is Cody who is actively presenting bad ideas. And May is
Yeah,
going along because she does not want to be in this situation anymore.
Yeah,
But
like,
at the same time, though,
May is an
if
enabler.
but at the same time, though, it is very much shown along the entire time she is kind of the dominant one in the relationship. Like she is very much that I am the
Yeah,
bread
with
earner,
ideas
you're
like
stay-
murdering an elephant, I can see why.
But like, but then at that point, why is she not like, no, we're not going to do that. That's a terrible idea. Whereas a lot of times, whenever he's like, let's make our daughter cry, she's like, yeah, okay. You know, at no point is she like, no, let's not make our daughter cry. That's shite.
oh, she is the one who like says how horrible it is. Whenever you're actually in the middle of doing it, because
Yeah.
Nick and I rewatched that cutscene.
Yeah, if I sit there and strangle someone, I'm like, wow, this is pretty fucked up. If I continue to strangle them, I'm still strangling someone. I'm still a murderer.
And like
Like-
like when they ditch their best bud Beetle, they show
I
no
sacrifice
remorse
him.
at all.
Yeah,
Oh, whenever the Yoshi drop them.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like they have zero remorse for all the animals they murder throughout the game.
So that's the thing, right? I don't think you can like judge a character based on that kind of aspect, because at the end of the day, they need to get to the end, right? And you like, the game is not like a morality game.
Yeah, but they can feel
Right.
bad about it.
Yeah, but
When an ally dies, they should feel bad about it. So, for example, like the beetle, which helped them.
you know
They
what?
sh-
It's because the bee betrays them,
bee
and they're
does
just
that.
like,
So
fuck
they're
all these guys. Fuck these
And
guys.
so, but like, okay, so that's fair enough. I can see that point of like, because like, yeah, you're right. Like Nathan Drake guns down hundreds of enemies in Uncharted games, but doesn't show remorse for that. Totally get that. But there is no, like, their idea of let's kill this elephant princess queen thing and make our daughter cry, and then the fact that there is literally the rest of the game, and that's like in the first fifth of the game, they don't do anything to redeem themselves after that.
But is it not because, like, in their minds, none of this is real? Like, whenever they get back to their normal bodies, none of this matters, right? This is all just like a test.
But
Right.
then we see the fact, though, that afterwards, that like it is real.
They interact with the child when she's on the bed. They
Yeah,
can
that's a good
see
point,
that they're
actually, yeah.
interacting with the world.
Yeah, because like they move the pen and stuff, which
Yeah.
falls off the
Yeah, no, that stuff makes sense. But, like, the actual, like, because at the end of the day, you know, like, you're going to, like
Like,
the plants and stuff, like, none
I
of that
can understand
matters
the
whenever-
levels, right? I can understand levels. But they're interacting with her toy, right?
Which is not alive, Alex.
Yeah,
It's
but
dead.
that's-
but at the same time, though,
now.
but it raises the question though, like, sorry, how do they know then when reality starts and stops?
So this is
They
the part
don't-
which I mentioned before, was that, like, there is this element of, like, what counts, like, and because what you guys are saying is that everything counts, right? But, like, it's really awkward, so it is, and I don't think I don't think the characters are bad because of that. I think it's more the overall script rather than, like, these characters specifically, because I think they are doing what you would imagine them to do, really, like, in a video game sense.
I don't know,
Like-
like if, to me, like if I was a father and like I was turned into a toy, my first sense is not, oh yeah, she cried sad tears, so I have to make her cry sad tears again. Like,
But if someone say like because like the fucking I think it's the binocular state, like yeah, why like she was crying on the toys and then you turned into them. Like if I would say it's not a massive leap of logic to think, oh, if she cries on us again, it will turn us back.
but to
I think
me,
objectively it
no,
is a terrible thing to do, but I don't
No,
think
no,
it's
no.
a massive leap in logic
well, put it this
considering
way.
the situation they're in.
Put it this way: whenever they said that, the first thing I said to Alex is, "I bet you it has to be tears of joy to turn
Yeah,
them back."
like
'cause
we
it's- 'cause
reached
it's
the
opposite
consensus
effect.
of like, oh well, the objective is now going to be we need to make her cry happy tears.
So, like, if we two adults would think that, why would those two adults not think a similar thing?
because it's storytelling. Like you need them, but like it's kind of there is always the element of we need to do almost the wrong thing first.
Also,
And then-
can I just say, right, and a counterpoint to like, how do they know it's reality and all that jazz? If they think it's not reality, how does destroying the toy make the child cry?
Because
Yeah.
you pick in your mind what will help you.
But they
Like, this is-
they do actually physically destroy the toy to make the child
wha-
cry.
yes, well, that's a good point. Like, yes, all right, in their fantasy world, it's murder, but in real life, they're still destroying a toy, which is still harmful or mean to the child. Like, I think that's the
So
point he means.
that
Just
also
like,
then shows that some of what they do impacts reality because they
Yeah.
see the results of their actions in the real world.
like, regardless of whether that toy was alive, like their idea was, I'm sure, yeah, they didn't think we're going to have to commit murder, but they still realized, oh, we're still going to have to destroy her toy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like-
well, which is a small price to pay
But you're still
to get
making your
out
daughter
of this,
cry.
this fucked up world.
But we are still looking at the fact that they are terrible people because the entire time their whole goal is either to destroy or destroy things or upset their daughter. And like that's the thing we're arguing here is like they are scumbags. Like whether it's fantasy or not, the end goal was always going to be a destruction of a toy that's going to make their daughter cry.
Like I think I think if we were talking about a way out, this would make sense. But I think because we are literally talking about a game where crazy shit happens, like I think it's really hard to make these kind of arguments.
See, I'm not counting all the crazy stuff because at the end of the day, the crazy stuff doesn't really impact that much if you think about it.
But like as Nick said, I think because the first part of the game is shit, we need to find a solution, and I think what they did, although very mean, like I think as Nick said, like this is kind of like their only option, right? Because no one tells them otherwise, right? Like they have no other information except for what the binoculars showed, and Dr. Hakim isn't exactly,
Helpful.
yeah, helpful. So,
The most chaotic neutral motherfucker in the world.
yeah.
Okay, well, how about this then? The entire time that they're like, okay, we have to destroy this, or we have to destroy the toy, I don't remember a single moment of hesitation on their part. Like, is this a good idea? Like, do we really want to make our daughter cry? They're just like, no, we are going to do this. This is all about us. We need to get out of this situation. They are very selfish. They don't seem to consider their daughter's feelings at all. If they're at the entire thing, actually, I don't think they actually talk about the well-being of their daughter, even whenever they're talking about their divorce and stuff. The first time I think it happens that I can remember is when they're talking about, like, oh, if we get divorced, we can take her there. I think it's the beach stuff. And they're like, we could take her there. Oh, she can go twice because I can take her and you can take her. And that's the only time I think I can remember is the first time they talk about their daughter's actual feelings is at that point.
Hey, they talk about making her cry. That's her feelings, right? Yeah,
That is technically a feeling.
I was just so annoyed, and Hans can probably attest to this, that they did nothing, absolutely nothing to redeem themselves.
Yeah.
So, yes, I would agree.
So what are you redeeming, though, is what I want to know.
The fact that their entire idea thus far has been to destroy or hurt their daughter. At no point have they done anything. They haven't had a redemption
They don't
arc
get
as
divorced.
characters.
That's the redeeming thing. Their
No,
daughters.
Two horrible people falling in love is still horrible people in love. All right. Like,
so,
me and Alex were talking about...
Go ahead.
All right. So me and Alex were talking about, like, what could they do to redeem themselves, right? I came up with the idea of, right, so their entire thing has been about destruction or, like, hurting their daughter. A possible way to redeem themselves would possibly be, right, so their whole thing has been destruction, have them recreate something, have them rebuild something, at the sacrifice of themselves. So I was like, Cody's garden, for example, although, yeah, they build it back, again, it's built up for Cody's own selfish reasons of, I want to pursue my passion. Have it be that like him haven't been like he rebuilds the garden but has to sacrifice something in the process of that. So again, it's it's the flip of it. He's been destroying something so long, now he's created something. Alex had a similar idea of like go ahead, Alex. Is about like one of them was going to stay a doll.
Yeah, so like at the end of the game you had to pick which parents sacrificed themselves to bring the other parent back. So one would stay a doll and the other one would become human again.
So the
Which
kid
still
only
only
gets one parent?
Yeah, and not only that, but only technically you're only redeeming one character too, Alex.
But I'd rather they both died. Because
Yeah, actually, I agree with
that
that.
would redeem them both.
Yeah,
So Alex would rather this child be an orphan.
I
is what he
guess I
said.
said to Hans at one stage, I think this child would be better getting adopted.
Yeah, actually, I kind of
Okay,
agree with that.
actually, so I just thought of this just in here now, right? What do you guys think the story is about?
The story to me is about it's the theme of family. I would probably assume.
Interesting, okay.
I would say
Because-
the story is
Go-
about. Well, the story is supposed to be about those two finding love again so they can look after the daughter.
Okay. Because what I'm thinking, right? Because while you guys were talking, I was just thinking about this, and as hard as weird as this might be to say, I don't think the daughter is as important as you might think, because keep in mind who because you guys are pointing out like Cody and May, they're the villains, right? They need to die, as Alex says, right?
Yeah.
But who's the
100%.
one pulling the strings, Alex?
Dr. Hakim.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's
Isn't that interesting?
I always thought Dr. Hakim was the villain in all of this.
Yeah.
And
right?
who brought him
That
in?
guy is terrible.
No,
Who
but the
brought
thing
him
is, right, keep
into
in
the
mind,
picture, though?
The daughter.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
Yeah,
So the daughter's the bad guy.
villain. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
No, the point I'm getting at, right, is that the book, aka Dr. Hakim, and like the whole like overarching thing, that book is not about family, right? It's about love, right? Quote unquote, right? Which obviously, if you want to tell me, that could mean family, it could mean whatever. But if you realize, like, Dr. Hakim never actually cares about the daughter, now that I'm thinking about it, like, his only concern is getting May and Cody together, and not actually the daughter. So, in a lot of ways, I feel like the characters' hands are tied, and like they kind of have to listen to this fucking book, right? And I actually think the daughter, now that I'm actually thinking about it, because I didn't actually think this before, but now that I'm actually thinking about it, the story is more about their relationship rather than like the daughter.
The daughter is a plot device. Like
It is.
the daughter is a very thinly veiled character, but she is mainly just used as a plot device.
Also, she's like really like dumb as bricks as well.
Yeah.
She is
her
like
parents are just
6 years old, dude.
No, but like her parents, like I said this to like Nick and Bunchy during this, and do you know how like you hear about like how like these parents get saved by their kid because they called 911 because they thought something was wrong or something,
Oh, yeah.
and then like this daughter is like their parents are
this
just like
clock.
not moving, just like, and then she's just like, hey, look at this clock I brought you. And it's like, oh shit. But anyway, like. What were we talking about?
Hans also hated the fact that she ran away from home.
That did bother me, yes.
I think that's just a classic.
Yes,
cliche.
yes.
So Hans and I,
Oh my
Hans and
God,
I
I
did
hate-
talk about
oh.
this like afterwards, and I think this is the thing we had the biggest disagreement is Hans took great offense to the daughter like blaming herself, and I think it is just a massive trope in any like story that involves
Yeah.
divorce.
It is such a leap in logic. It is such a large leap in logic for the daughter who, like, because both parents have been absolutely lovely to her throughout this entire divorce thing that we have seen. And, like, she's just like, I must be the problem. I must go. And you're like, why would you assume that? They never once discussed that with you, never snapped at you, were never angry with you.
They killed her
At no
toy, so
point-
she must be the problem.
She didn't know that. She did not know that.
But that's the thing, right? Is like whenever you don't understand what's going on, right? Like you try to put together pieces which you do understand, and what she listed was like, "Oh, I don't put my toys away. I don't do this, or I do that." Like, and I think that's
And like
that's
everything she will have seen is like, here is like Cody and May happy before I was here. Like,
Yeah,
But
she
as I
doesn't
said to
see that,
Nick-
that May, shacks up with the postman, which is what I kept saying happened, right? She doesn't know that, right? But what she
But,
might
like-
see is how, she leaves her toys lying everywhere,
But,
like,
like,
I think that's fine. It is a trope, right?
yeah,
It's
I
a
think
cliche,
that, like,
but
I think that is the difference. Is like, I just think it is just a trope of this sort of story that the child of divorce blames themselves.
I think, my thing was just how easily rectified it could have been, which is just like, literally all they had to do was like, at one stage before they could become dolls, like whenever they're arguing out in the driveway, for her to go down and be like, "Oh, mom and dad," and they're like, "Not now," just snap at her because they're frustrated, not at her, but because they're having an argument. That's all would have
But
taken.
I think
and then
that ties back to the issue I think you are already having with the story, whereas I don't think the game openly addresses that Cody and May are terrible people. Because I think doing that would almost be the game admitting they are bad people, which is what the game does not want to do. Because the game never goes out of its, like, as you mentioned, like, they never show remorse or anything. Like, it is up, like, we have kind of come to the consensus that, well, I don't think they are objectively the worst people, but yes, they are not great people. And showing that would then be the game admitting that they are not great people, which it doesn't technically do. So I think that just kind of ties back into that, is the game doesn't, I don't think the storyteller's intent was to show Cody and May as bad people, as much as that's how we are seeing it. And I think having that kind of them snapping at Rose would almost be them saying they are bad people.
But I feel like, though, then them snapping at Rose is supposed to be the idea, because like we're making a lot of assumptions here about them, and like people then should assume that they're not snapping at Rose because they're angry at her. They're snapping because of the situation of them having an argument. So yeah, we know they're not bad people. Tempers were just were flared because of the situation. So if you're going down the route,
and find out they are bad people.
yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I think this is going to be another point where we're just not going to agree on it. we seem to be in the camp of they're absolute
I hate
irredeemable
them.
arseholes.
I actually
all,
hate
all,
them.
all there's,
I
like,
really
negativity in
dislike
that camp,
them.
you know.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing in like
I mean,
the
I
first
don't
person,
think they're
oh,
great people, but I think in the situation they are in, I think their actions are not like unjustified or completely unjustified.
I completely disagreed with their methods.
Yeah.
I personally, I just think it's just the world doesn't match what the characters should or should not do. Like I said earlier, it's just like I just think the consistency of the world is a bit odd.
Yeah.
And like Dr. Akeem as well is like, I think whenever Nick and I first saw Dr. Akeem's like, oh, this guy's really sick and he's like really hilarious and whatever. But then like, he's such a random.
Yeah, he is the embodiment of like the chaotic neutral character. Is like his motivations are like, as much as he is like, oh, I'm going to get you to collaborate. It's like he's doing it in the worst possible way by just throwing them into the worst scenarios.
I think Dr. Hakim is the daughter. Not in like a she's possessing the book, but like obviously the desire is she wants her parents to get back together, and that desire is personified in Hakim. So it's almost like, and again, the daughter would know nothing of relationships. So she's just throwing them into these things that she just thinks, oh, they must get back together. This will help. That's kind of what I feel like. Is like everything that she wants is coming through Hakim. But again, it's also like her naivety in relationships is like, this is not the way a normal person would do this.
So I think the last thing to talk about is actually the ending.
Before while we're talking about Dr. King, still say, should have given him an ass.
I agree.
The way the amount he thrusts and gyrates, the fact he does not have an actual ass.
Nick, go one further. Have a bookmark be his floppy dick.
Okay, maybe not that far. But the fact that there is not like two butt cheeks on the back of his book, highly disappointing.
Even if they were
Give
just like
me the director's cut of It Takes Two with the butt. Give me the butt cheek cut.
Nick, he is the director.
No, it's not. We realized this in the like credits.
Is it not Joseph?
No, it's not. It's the same guy that voices Cody, as we found out in the credits.
That's weird. That's really
The same guy that
weird.
voices Cody is the same guy that voiced Dr. Hakim.
He is a very talented individual. His character choice sucks, but he's very talented.
But yeah, the ending. When we played it, we were kind of almost in two minds in that.
So I think, now that I'm thinking about it, I think you're right in the end. Now that I'm actually thinking about it.
That they are getting back together? Because you seem to be
Yeah.
convinced that they weren't necessarily getting back together.
I think that's what I hoped, right? And
See,
I think
I don't think they explicitly say it, and I do think the fact that you were able to see that side of it is... I kind of hope they wouldn't in the end, but I do think it is implied they got back together.
so. What sort of tipped me over now was because of how the last gameplay bit ends. Contrary to me ruining it multiple times, right? But the end of the game involves you two.
Putting on the concert.
Yep, and then the end is you two making out,
Yeah.
which I
You
think
become sex dolls, not just
Yeah.
ordinary dolls.
Oh yeah, I remember that,
Yeah.
but I refused.
yeah.
Alex kept fucking about with the
Yeah, so
control.
did I.
Cody's a dick, guys. Like we've established this, right? Cody's the real dick.
I was
right?
like, Hans, I don't want this ending. I am not going to participate in this ending.
These
Why am I getting
these two
like
don't deserve-
flashbacks to how the fuck your playthrough of A Way Out ended as well?
I think that was reversed though, because we both like
Of like both of you refusing to like cooperate with how the game wanted you to finish up.
Yeah,
no,
pretty
in
much.
a way,
yeah.
both of us liked.
Are the guys that we were playing, and we wanted them to be
Oh
right.
yeah, we liked each
Yeah.
other's characters more than
Yeah.
ours.
Yeah, so you refused to like kill each other in like the last
Yeah.
shootout bit.
Yeah.
And this bit is just Alex is just like, I don't want this game to end this way, so I'm not going to hit the button.
That was it. It's like these two don't deserve to be happy, so fuck them.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so this is the thing which bothers me, I guess, is so okay, so so this is gonna be a really weird game to compare it to, right? But another game that we played on Bash Bro on Game Club, sorry.
Icy, come on, Icy.
No,
That would be quite the weird comparison.
is Senua's Sacrifice.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
So
Okay.
the comparison I'm making is that both of those games talk about two very real things, right? That affect people in real life.
Yes.
Right? And the way Senua's Sacrifice, that I praised it for, was that in Senua's Sacrifice, there is a happy ending, but it is not an end. Because the idea in Senua's Sacrifice is that you have this condition, and it's more that at the end she learns to live with this condition, and not that magic happened and we're cured, right? Because that's not how mental health works, right? Like it doesn't just disappear. And I think the idea of parents divorcing, that's something that happens, right? Like I personally have been through that. That is something that happens, and I think it's a really
Those who didn't know, Al Iwai is divorced, yes.
Yeah. And I think what would have been a really good thing to do would have been like the game starts with like it's about Cody and May, right? And there is hints of this later, like you said with the trip to like the ski place or whatever. But it should turn from look, we can cooperate, and we can do this for the sake of our daughter. But really, the end of the game is like, let's make out.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, we realized that we actually do love each other, and we just need to make sacrifices for each other.
Yeah, and also our daughters ran away. We should probably go get her, right? like I feel like that is a bit of a that's a very movie ending.
Yeah, like
right?
so.
Like,
I think
that is a happily
like
ever
that is.
after.
I think that is the key point here. Is as much as we don't want it to be, I think the game presents itself as almost like a summer feel-good blockbuster, in that it's going to wrap up everything nicely with a neat bow. Yes, we disagree with aspects of it, and we don't want it to play out that way. I think that is the lens that it's going, or that is the type of story it is going for. And I know we didn't want it to play out that way, and we want to see these other bits of it. I just don't think they're there, or they were never meant to be there or read into that way. Like, it is just meant to be like a feel good like summer blockbuster. The way, like, the story and the style almost does remind me of like a DreamWorks summer like animated film. And I think that is exactly why it feel like it wraps up the way it does, because it's meant to be this sort of family friendly feel good ending.
I was just blown away. There's a bus stop at the end of their driveway.
I think I was fully convinced they were about to go get in their car, and then when they just run up there, he was very surprised.
Why didn't they get their car? Why did they run?
And then it's because, like, yeah, it's at the end of the driveway. Why would they need to?
I don't think it's actually like it's at the end of the driveway, but it's definitely on the road that their street is. Or their house is on.
They ran, right?
Because it's not like they run from behind her. They run like. Also, she's this kid. She was walking. Kids have short legs.
They don't know how long she's been gone.
That is true.
Yeah, that is the thing, right?
I think it's absolutely logical, but I don't think it's necessarily like she's like right at the end of the driveway.
Yeah, like
well,
I like
she
that
does
idea,
say in the note, "I have money for a bus," so I think it's safe to assume they know she's going to the closest bus stop.
And then get the
Yeah.
car.
Right, you don't know where the bus stop is. There's a bus stop like 2 minutes from my house. I would not drive to it, even if I could drive.
So you're saying you wouldn't go pick up your kid who's trying to run away in a car?
Not if I knew I could run there in just as fast as me getting in the car and driving.
You don't know how long their driveway is.
I have an 8-kilometer driveway.
Hey man, they live in the country. They have a massive garden.
Take it away from the fact that I hate these characters, from a completely neutral standpoint, in that sense, the ending was fine. It was like, I thought it was kind of open-ended. Like, I totally get the point where you mean, like, I mean, they kiss at the end, so yeah, surely they're back in love with each other, or supposed to be. But like, it was kind of just open-ended enough that, like, maybe they are just going to be friends. I mean, like...
So I thought it was open-ended. So I said to Nick, I don't think they got back together. I think now it's like this. But then whenever we were like talking about it, I was like, they go through all this thing, and like, because of how that bit ends, I'm like, shit.
But at the end of the day, like, he said, like, Hakeem was like, I'm going to make you fall back in love with each other. People can still love each other and not be back together. Like, it's a thing. Like, you know, like, people who are divorced from each other, like, just because they're divorced from each other doesn't mean they're not attracted to each other. It doesn't mean that they don't care about each other.
They're not making out, are they?
Yeah, I think that is the dead giveaway that they are back together, is that they just full on kiss each other at the end.
I think but like, people get swept up in the moment. Like, you know, like the whole idea. Like,
I don't think I get people.
So you're right. That is a thing.
You're right, but that's not the story they are telling.
Yeah, like
There would be a whole other like 2 hours of that game if that was the story they were telling.
like, to me, like, I don't like. it doesn't bother me. Like the fact that they walk away as a family holding hands, like to me, that is vague enough that I can be like, I can take my own conclusions away from that. Like if they get back together, sweet, whatever. Like that doesn't bother me. If they decide to stay friends for the sake of the child, but they are not, like that doesn't bother me either. I think it's vague enough that you can kind of draw your own conclusions. And again, this is aside from the fact that I hate them. But like, yeah, like the ending I thought was fine. I think you can take away from it what you want.
See, to go back to what Alex said, if there was going to be a choice at the end of this game, I think that should have been the choice that the players make.
Yeah.
Is do Cody and May get back together, or do they just realize,
or do they die?
They have they have fundamental differences and cannot be a family or cannot be together.
Yeah.
Yes, they can still care for Rose, but they cannot do it together. Because like that,
I feel like though you need to see a fallout from that. Like, so like say you make the decision get back together or not, and then you need to see a fallout.
like you see
from
them
that.
have that conversation with Rose and say, like, we still love you. This is nothing to do with you. You have that conversation. But the other side of it is, I think you need to make it like a Splinter Steel type thing, like Golden Balls, where like they both like you either pick like the same, like the only way to get them to stay together is you both pick stay together. If one person says no, we should be different or we should split up, then they do split up.
I like it.
Yeah.
I would have
That ties
preferred
into
that.
And that ties in the idea of obviously you
Collaboration.
being the
Yeah,
couple
you're
as
right.
well.
I am
yeah.
Dr. Hakim. Look at me shake my booty.
Your boot. Here's my Doc Martin. Yes,
Yeah, I think that would have actually.
that's a really
But
good.
like, I like
ending.
again, like I'm going back. Like, I don't think they do something because they do something similar in a way, and I think they would be perfectly capable of doing something like that. I just don't think that's the story they're trying to tell. Like, I think, as I mentioned, they're going for this feel good blockbuster.
But I feel like this, if this was like a game for all audiences, like I would agree with you. It should be a family blockbuster because if you're playing with a kid, then at the end of the day, yeah, you would want them to kind of come away happy and not have to deal with the intricacies of divorce. But this is a bit too complicated for a kid. Like I would say
think
you have
could
to
play
be.
this with. I think if you're a parent, I think a parent could play this with their child.
No. I just like.
I think it would be
There are-
frustrating, but I think if like you could play this with like, I don't know.
I mean, I
Not
played
the
it with a
8 or 10
child.
upwards.
Let's be honest. Anyway.
Fuck you.
I thought, okay, for some reason I thought Alex was implying he played this with his niece. I was like, that baby can't hold a controller. You can't fool me.
No. I knew exactly where Alex was going.
Like to me, like I think like it depends what you consider a child. Like I'm not gonna sit there and be able to play with a 7-year-old.
No.
Preteen maybe, like 12, 13 maybe, but like I think like any younger than that, I think they would struggle with this.
Well, we have to go find a child and try.
I'm pretty sure we would get. Pretty sure it's illegal.
Away from these, like the main characters, so to speak, I wanted to say, like, I actually really enjoyed the character from like a lot of the like, not like the main character from each of like almost the chapters. Like, I thought the squirrels were funny. I thought the like space baboon was funny, and I think all those characters are really well realized and well written.
Another toy we destroyed, by the way.
What, the baboon?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
you
not
just
destroyed.
struck.
He's there at the end. He's there in one
Sorry,
piece.
no, you're right. You just beat him up.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
fine.
yeah. You just
Yeah,
like,
he's not like he's not ruined.
Yeah, like you shoot lasers at him, and lasers in media don't do anything.
The Elephant Queen, R.I.P.
Princess Cutie.
Why did they call her the Elephant Queen and then she's actually a princess?
I don't know. But no, like I think all those characters are really good, and I think they're all like very well done. Like I couldn't fault those ones. It's just I think the overarching story has some misses, some hits, but also some misses.
poor Vito. Rest in peace.
Oh, also while we're on characters, can I just point out those gophers or moles or whatever they are?
Oh, fucking
Adorable, absolutely adorable.
You know what
mean
else was
Nightmare Fuel?
adorable?
Fucking,
Yeah.
I would have a mole as a pet right now.
Those spiders were pretty adorable.
Yeah, those spiders were pretty adorable. I also like the idea that they were just like the taxi. Was it spiders that were taxis as well?
Yeah, frogs.
No, the
Frogs.
Oh,
the frogs were taxis.
fantastic as taxis. Just fantastic, like tertiary characters all around.
Yeah. R.I.P. Princess Cutie. Never forget.
So, any last story and character thoughts before we wrap it up and go to the next section? Good. Take the silence as a no. So where do Hazelight go next from here? So Joseph Fares, the kind of director and like studio lead at Hazelight, has now done 3 games, all kind of centered around the like dual characters. So he did Brothers first, which, while not necessarily a co-op game, could definitely be played co-op if you really wanted.
If you really want to sit close to each other.
I think
on
they
a
did
sofa.
eventually add the option to do that properly co-op with like 2 controllers.
Okay.
Ooh.
And then yeah, we've covered A Way Out, and now we've covered It Takes Two, and obviously they've been very centric co-op experiences. And I'm wondering, what do you guys kind of want? Because I think at this point Hazelight has proven that they can make a very, very good game, and not even just like something that looks low budget. Like I think It Takes Two looks very, very high budget and like bordering on not necessarily AAA, but definitely like something that you would look at and be like, yeah, that's a very, very well made game. And I'm wondering, what do you guys want? Like, do you want to see them just keep making like these sorts of bespoke co-op experiences, or do you kind of want to see them branch out? Because as much as, yes, I think their co-op experiences are very good, I do think they've almost peaked at what they can do gameplay wise without just now like doing the same sort of game just with a different story.
I think maybe branching out into a different genre. I don't know what kind of genre though, but
Deck builder
It Takes
roguelike.
Three.
You're right, Alex.
oh yeah, that would be
Any
interesting.
more of those?
So, okay, because my main thought was I would like to see what they do with a co-op game, but without the split screen. Like, don't limit yourself to having like almost having this always split screen scenario, and like see what they can do whenever like. I know the split screen almost like is like a secondary thought in a lot of this at times, but I'd like to see them when like that's not a restriction they have to think about, like what they can do with like 2 actual co-op, like 2 different full screens almost, to see what they can do with that. Like, because I think it's really cool that there is a studio out there that is focused on making co-op experiences where it does almost feel like an afterthought for some studios. So I don't want to see them just suddenly start doing like, oh, we're just going to do, here's an open world third-person action adventure single-player game like everything else in the market these days. And like see what else they can kind of do when they start stripping back some of the co-ops, like the split screen stuff and some of that like restrictions on them.
I want It Takes Three.
I want,
You want them to make the next Trine, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you want Trine is what you want.
But
I
do you
want
want
them
a 3-way split screen, Hans?
Yes, I do. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, it has to be 3 triangles.
Yeah.
And like the daughter grows up into her teenage years and becomes rebellious and starts to splinter away from parents, and then that's like, oh, Hakeem is back! I have come to save the family. And then like May and like Cody are like, oh, for fuck's sake, not a game. While the daughter's like, what the fuck is happening? And they're just like, it's fine, we've done this before, just follow us. That's what I want. It Takes Three. So I'm gonna trademark that. So they have to pay me.
Just in case.
They have to trademark me.
I think the co-op thing's pretty cool. It's just like I don't know what genre I would like to see it in.
I do think I think they could probably maybe get away with making another like platformer centric one of these, and like just with a different story and maybe new characters and all that. But like, I just don't want them to just keep churning out co-op platformers, because I think it would get very boring, and then you're suddenly relying on it being like the story, which, like as we've discussed, the story's had misses at this point, and like if all you're relying on for the difference between the games being the story, then how many chances do you get to get that right before people lose faith in it?
I think Nick is right in that I think a non-split screen co-op game would be really interesting, because, well, as we said earlier, so whenever Hans brought it up earlier, like, I actually do think the rail bit with the animals was one of the best parts, because a big problem with the co-op aspect in this game, and with split screen in general, is that I can just look at the other person's screen, right? Like, there's no, like, Nick could just say nothing, and I could just look at his screen and be like, oh yeah, that.
Yeah,
but I think
like timing stuff, like you could probably look at my screen or look at the other person's screen for a lot of the puzzles in this. Bar like, oh, we need to like hit this button at the same time.
Yeah, but like that would have been so much more like tense if like Nick couldn't see my screen and I'm just like on this rail. I'm like, Nick, better hit the fucking pig.
Yeah,
right? You better hit that thing, right? And I think that would be really cool, because they're clearly very good at making these set pieces,
and things like that. Yeah,
it's just the presentation does hold it back a bit. And I think, you know, obviously us three old men had depth perception issues, which I think partially is caused by only having half a screen as well.
Yeah.
But I think just it is very nice having a co-op developer, as it were.
Yeah.
Like,
I would never want to see their next game be like not a co-op thing or not co-op focused, because I just think it is unique in a market where co-op feels like such an afterthought for a lot of games, and like that kind of, especially couch co-op. But I kind of get couch co-op. Then in Harris, you need to have the split screen sort of stuff.
yeah. But I think what was I gonna say? Shit.
I
Well,
wonder
I'm going to
if-
fly in the face of what you're going to say.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I don't want them to stop making co-op games. I'm going to prerequisite what I'm going to say with that. But I would like to see them venture to something else for one particular reason. They have shown that when they take a genre like co-op, they can twist it and manipulate it and turn it in, or either optimize it or flip it on its head and make you think outside the box. I would be interested to see what they could do with other genres like that. So I know you joked about a roguelike, but I think this is the sort of developer that could take the roguelike concept and do something different with it and can manipulate it or optimize it in such a way. Like, they have that thought process, and I would love to see them. I don't want them to do it permanently because co-op is what they're good at, and I love co-op games, but just try something with a different genre. Like an open world game, like a purely or a real sandbox game. What can they do with that? What could they take the tropes of the genre and just either flip it on its head or turn it up to 11? I would love to see them try something like that.
So I think, like, I feel like whenever people get asked, like, how, like, oh, this developer is great, they should try this, right? I think it's very quick to say that, right? I think whenever, I guess, like, Nick and I working in, like, techie places, it's like, if you were told just to do something completely brand new, it's like, what? But if you're told, like, oh, do this thing based on this thing we've already done, and, like, throw a twist on it, or, like, do something similar to this, then it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And I think, like, with the way they handled this game, where there was, like, so many different frickin' like, gameplay things, it was like playing Nier with, like, how you had, like, the third person, like, the twin stick shooter parts and stuff. It's like, this game kind of showed, for me, like, the positives of this game is, like, the environment and level building and, like, world building. I think that was, like, really cool. But, like, the gameplay part, like, I just didn't think, like, the puzzles were great, like, the set things were good. It's just, third-person shooter, don't make me a third-person shooter. I don't want to hear about Gears of War, right? I don't want that game. But, like, I think if they did something and they took it slower and had aspects of their previous games, like, that is what makes this game cool, right? I think a big company is like, is it Supergiant? Like, you can tell a game is a Supergiant game, right? Because there are these similarities, even though the games themselves are really different, right? But there are these similarities that, like, you can be like, oh yeah, because they are known for, like, this music, this kind of writing,
This art
whatever.
style, yeah.
Yeah, the art style as well, right? And I think this is the thing, is that I think It Takes Two does that well. Like, it looks good, and I think they should do something like that. But I think it's really dangerous to sort of say stuff like, I want them to do this. And, like, yeah. I think there is good potential, though, in this. They're a Swedish company, right?
I think so, yeah. I think they're based in Sweden. I don't know if, like, Joseph Fares and stuff is Swedish.
Yeah.
So all good to go to the conclusion and wrap this up.
Yep.
So personally, I absolutely love this game. Like, I think there is missteps in the story, and I think there's some small missteps in the gameplay, but I think they are very, very slight negatives in what is otherwise an overwhelmingly positive game for me. And I would 100% recommend this to anyone. And personally, I would recommend it over, like, A Way Out, because it's obviously the most direct comparison you can kind of make right now. And I just think it is, in most ways, and I'd say out of 99% of ways, better than A Way Out. And should definitely be, if you're looking for a co-op game, I think this should be, like, number one suggestion most people should say to you is, yeah, play It Takes Two. Hans.
I think this is a really good game. I've had a couple of issues with the story, and I do feel like parts of it overstayed their welcome, but overall, I couldn't not recommend this. This is a fantastically fun game. I enjoyed 99% of my time with it. Yeah, super fun. I would recommend it to anybody.
Alex.
Despite my hatred for the characters, I did have fun playing it. Would I say it's better than A Way Out? Absolutely not. But you should still play it.
Oh.
Oh,
I would highly recommend this game. Again, I have similar, although different, issues with the story and so forth. But at the end of the day, it's a really great platformer to play with someone, and it did make us laugh out loud. Like, and I think that's like rare, and not just because we're depressing people, but because it was funny whenever it had really good highs and only just a few lows. So go play it.
Alex, would you? Well, is Alex the one that would recommend A Way Out over?
Yeah, I would say A Way Out over this one.
Really?
So I would say the reason is from a purely critiquing standpoint. I feel like it's a more whole experience. Like if I level up, like, don't get me wrong, I enjoy the gameplay of this game more, but from like an overall, like, I have less issues with A Way Out than I do this game.
No, I think
With
in
the
hindsight, playing this is like maybe not like, but see the issues in A Way Out a lot more.
Like to
Like
me,
A
like
Way
I
Out,
say,
feel like just to kind of like put it out there, and like because Alex mentioned Telltale there, like A Way Out almost has like the gameplay feel of a Telltale, whereas this feels like an actual game. Like
that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. Like if I was to sit down with half an hour of A Way Out and half an hour of this, I would probably enjoy this more. But the story beats and the overstaying its welcome drag this down for me to a point. But I never felt that with A Way Out. I never felt it overstayed its welcome in A Way Out. It's the only way I can describe it. Say, like, from a purely critiquing standpoint, I would go with A Way Out, yeah.
what boat are you in?
I would. So purely from a gameplay point, I would always recommend the game that plays better. Right. So I completely agree that I think it is wrapped up better in A Way Out, definitely. But I think this one overall plays better, and so this is the one I would recommend. But yeah, I think they're both fine. I wouldn't not recommend either.
Yeah.
So
right.
it's. But yeah, I guess if you had to pick one, I'd say this one just because it plays better.
So overall, very positive reviews of It Takes Two with some minor niggles, I think would be the best way to sum it
Minor,
up.
yeah, well,
What?
I wouldn't say minor. I hated the characters. I wouldn't say that's a
Do you
minor
consider
issue.
hatred minor,
But
Nick?
speaking of hatred, Alex,
Hello.
it is your turn to pick next. What game will you make us hate for the month of May?
Ever since I started the A to Z, I've been having little nightmares. That's what we're playing.
Sick segue, dog.
To be fair, I have actually always had a passive
Yeah, like
interest in
that
Little
game's
Nightmares.
art style has always looked really fucking cool to me.
And see, like,
The first,
it's like,
the first one, yeah,
The first one, yeah.
because the second one did just come out recently.
like, to me, I think it's what I really like about it is like it's a horror game, but it's creepy horror, not jump scare
Yeah.
horror.
It
Like,
reminds
unsettling.
me
It's almost
of,
unsettling. Yeah.
Yeah,
of Limbo, kind of.
yeah. I have heard there are similarities between the two. Yeah.
Sweet. So join us at the end of May where we'll be talking about Little Nightmares. But for now, it's goodbye from Hans.
Have a good one.
Goodbye from Alex.
Bye.
A goodbye from IY.
See ya.
And a toodaloo from myself. See you next time.